Now we would like to talk about the 3 levels of dialogic reading. Flynn suggests working on 3 levels of dialogic reading. The purpose of level 1 is to introduce specific selected vocabulary words and to facilitate the student's language acquisition through scaffolding. The teacher doesn't read the text, but instead focuses on illustrations. After posing basic labeling questions, for example, "What's this?" the teacher follows up with an attribute and/or function question. For example, "What color is it?" The children repeat the new words or phrases individually or in chorus. Nonverbal children can just point to the picture or answer yes/no questions. When most of the students can label at least 75% of the target vocabulary in a book, the teacher proceeds to level 2. It was Lonergan who suggested beginning with the lowest level questions and moving on to the next level only when the child is ready. The purpose of level 2 is to create opportunities for students to practice the new vocabulary they have learned and to encourage longer responses. The teacher asks open-ended questions such as, "What do you see here? What's happening on this page?" The teacher encourages the students to expand their responses. The teacher may say, "Tell me more," or "What else do you see?" Expansions help the students add a few more words to their answer. Then the teacher moves on to level 3 with the same book. At this level, students are encouraged to relate the story to their own experiences. Students share their own experiences, thus practicing the new vocabulary and expressive language skills. After the children get familiar with the book and can answer the level 3 questions, the teacher can turn to extension and enrichment activities. One form of the extension activity is storytelling, story retelling. Students retell the story in their own words without looking at the book or using the pictures as a guide. In reenactment, students act out the story. They might speak the lines, describe their character. Cooking activities allow for sensory experiences including smell, taste, touch, hearing, and sight. Both cooking and art activities are an excellent way to reinforce the targeted vocabulary. Book and vocabulary selection. Normally, books with clear and varied illustrations and books with minimal text are picked for dialogic reading. The vocabulary should be developmentally appropriate, well depicted in illustrations, and novel to the students. Sticky notes could be used to flag when to introduce a particular word. Index cards of all the target vocabulary could be taped to the back of the book. They can be used as a reference during the dialogic reading session. The following video demonstrates how to prepare a book for dialogic reading.
In this video, a teacher prepares her book selection for a read-aloud that will include using dialogic reading strategies. The teacher first previewed and read the book so that she could identify opportunities to engage children in the dialogic reading experience using specific prompts. As we've learned, these prompts have a specific purpose: to provide opportunities for children to practice new oral language skills and for adults to elaborate children's responses and provide rich language models. After the teacher generates prompts of various types using the crowd strategy planning sheet, she transfers them to sticky notes to place in the book. Because this is a new strategy for her, she includes the letter C, R, O, W, or D associated with the prompt. This helps her identify the expected responses so that she is ready to scaffold and elaborate language when children respond. Once all of the prompts have been transferred to the sticky notes, the teacher previews the book again and places the prompts on the appropriate pages. This helps her know when she will pose a question in the context of the text. Now when she reads this book to her children, she is ready to engage them in dialogic reading and maximize their oral language experience.
Flynn recommends the following books for dialogic reading. If You Give a Pig a Pancake by Numeroff, Tops and Bottoms by Stevens, ABC I Like Me by Carlson, and Goldilocks and the Three Bears by Ransom. I found a different version of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. It's called The Three Snow Bears by Jan Brett. The events take place in the Arctic. And in this book, children encounter very specific vocabulary. For example, an eagle, and huskies, and soft fur lining in the boots, fur covers, to sip soup, and others. Here you can see an eagle. So the plot is very similar to Goldilocks and the Three Bears, with the exception that, the main characters are the three snow bears, and the girl's name is Aluki. The illustrations are rich and clear, and basically they help to retell the plot of the story. Here, for example, Aluki is trying on some boots. The biggest one belonged to the Papa Bear, and we can guess whose boots Aluki finds best. And here are your huskies. It has a happy ending too, when the bears return and find Aluki sleeping under the fur covers. First they're angry at her, but she runs away and she finds your huskies. And as you see, it has a happy ending. Group composition. Group size depends on classroom organization, management style, student-teacher ratio, the age of the students. For younger children, for example 2 to 3 years old, teachers may want to consider smaller groups with no more than 4 children. For preschool classroom teachers, they can experiment with groups of 5 to 8 children. Kindergarten and first grade teachers may be able to manage larger group sizes or whole class readings. As for the length of dialogic reading sessions, teachers should use their own professional judgment based on the age of their students, the group's level of attentiveness, and their classroom schedules and routines. While 3 and 4-year-olds would benefit from 10-minute sessions, 5 and 6-year-olds could stay engaged for longer sessions, lasting up to 20 minutes. Now I would like to speak about some advantages and disadvantages of 2 types of group composition: homogeneous and heterogeneous. The advantage of using homogeneous grouping is that the teacher can work with the students at their appropriate level. In this way, students can proceed through the levels at a comfortable for them pace that fits their abilities and progress. The challenge is that the group needs to be balanced with the children who get along and are willing to interact with each other. As for heterogeneous grouping, a teacher can use children with high levels of linguistic abilities as role models for children who are less verbal. At the same time, teacher must be able to scaffold at the individual level. Group management. I have found some recommendations in regard of group management. One of them is that children should sit close to the teacher. Everyone should be able to see the book at the same time. Questions should be asked in such a way that all the students stay involved and engaged in the answer. Students may be asked to repeat the answer in chorus. They should be provided clear expectations for turn-taking. In dialogic reading, it is very important that all students are participating and have opportunities to respond verbally. Some techniques to meet the individual student needs. One of the most common techniques is using a microphone for turn-taking. You can give the child an additional role in the group, such as a page turner. You can have the impatient child sit in closer proximity to the teacher. More verbal children who may get impatient waiting for their turn will benefit from all these strategies. Accommodations and modifications. To enrich dialogic reading experiences, teachers can use objects and props. As they explore objects with all of their senses, they can discuss and learn new vocabulary. Some of those props can be made available during Free Play Center. For example, images of scenes on a felt board from Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I would like to show you a few more props that we used in our classroom. The book that we read in class is called The Mitten. It is a Ukrainian folk tale adapted and illustrated by Jan Brett. And the main character is Nicky. His grandmother knit a pair of white mittens for him, and he was so excited he decided to play in the yard and wear his mittens. And he dropped one of his mittens on the snow. What happened next? Animals tried to get inside the mitten, and they found it very comfortable and cozy, warm. As you see, there is a rabbit, hedgehog, an owl, a badger, fox, and even a bear. They all tried to get in. And what happened next? The bear, tickled by the mouse's whiskers, gave an enormous sneeze, and the mitten exploded and flew into the air. On the way home, Nicky noticed his mitten and he caught it and brought home. So we use the following props with our children. As you see, there is a mouse, a hedgehog, a fox, and here is a rabbit, an owl, badger, and there is a mole, a bear. These are the characters that children encounter in their story. And we also have a white mitten. So when introducing new vocabulary, we would use these visuals, so children can actually hold them in their hands, manipulate with them. And when we retell this story and act it out, so we can hide all these animals inside the white mitten. I should say children absolutely love using different props. And we also have different mittens here, and children can match them. Let me just put them away. Children, particularly nonverbal children, like interactive books with Valkyrie images that can be easily removed and replaced. Speech and language pathologists can help with vocabulary selection and communication systems. OTs can help with adaptive devices such as wiggle seats. Children with disabilities can be accommodated during dialogic reading depending on their disability. For example, children with visual impairments would benefit from the use of big books and objects that represent the vocabulary being taught. Children with hearing impairments will benefit from the use of simple sign language paired with pictures in the book. Children with cognitive delays will benefit from more time to respond, short simple teacher prompts, and focusing strategies such as turning the pages in the book. How to measure dialogic reading behaviors? Dixon, Krause, and her colleagues created the dialogic reading inventory to measure dialogic reading behaviors. The reliability and validity of the dialogic reading inventory was determined in the experiment that involved parents reading 2 books to their children. Those parent-child dialogic reading sessions were videotaped, and the data from the videos was analyzed. An observer watched the parent-child storybook episode and tallied how many times he or she observed a specific literacy behavior. The results indicate that dialogic reading is a viable tool for assessing adult and child reading behaviors during dialogic reading episodes. It can be useful to inform parents and teachers on the specific reading behaviors that they need to develop to help support their children's reading. Studies conducted by Blum, Hoffman, Breach, and their colleagues revealed that typical caregivers can be taught dialogic reading strategies by a 15-minute videotape and subsequently use a number of these strategies with integrity. In those videos, crowd and peer strategies were used. C in crowd stands for completion prompts, R for recall prompts, O open-ended questions, W whoop prompts, D distancing prompts. In peer, excuse me, prompting the child to label the objects in the book's pictures. E, evaluate the child's verbalizations. E, expand the child's verbalizations. R, repeat expanded verbalizations. The crowd and peer acronyms were developed by Whitehurst and colleagues. There are a number of trainings and dialogic reading strategies available on YouTube. You can find links to some of them in the references to my presentation. Here you can see full links. And to prepare my presentation, I researched 6 articles from peer-reviewed journals and a main text by Bookage. That's it.